In modern MotoGP, the internal combustion classes are set up in a fairly hierarchical structure, with the smaller classes of Wait, we've done this before. That's right, in my last video, we looked at how every Moto3 champion has fared since their career in the lightweight class ended, and whether or not Moto3 sets up riders for Moto2 and MotoGP in a good way. And you guys absolutely loved that video, so today, we're running it back and doing the same exact thing for Moto2 champions. The Moto2 class tends to have racing that is much closer to the MotoGP style of racing, with less chaotic pack races and a much higher focus on individual riding and tire management. Theoretically, the smaller gap in performance as well as more similar style of racing should prepare riders better for MotoGP. But there's only one way to find out. Really quick before we get into the video, if you're enjoying the content, please drop a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you want more videos directly to your subscription feed. It helps, especially on a smaller channel like mine. Okay, we're starting with a weird one. Today, we tend to think of Moto2 as a stepping stone to MotoGP, and this is also primarily how the 250cc class was used in the years leading up to its replacement. But in the first year of Moto2, the title was won by Toni Elias, who had been racing in the premier class since 2005. Elias did take the quote-unquote traditional route to MotoGP, starting with 125cc class in 1999 with Honda, then moving to 250 in 2002 with Aprilia, and securing a MotoGP ride in 2005 with the Fortuna Yamaha team. He had a solid rookie season, finishing in the points in every round, same thing in 2006 with Gresini Honda. He would prove an occasional top 5 contender, with perhaps his career highlight coming at the end of this season, where he would be part of the closest finish in MotoGP class history in Portugal. I actually have a video about this, and if you don't know the story, it is worth hearing, so if you would like to hear that, click on this in the next few seconds and there won't be any spoilers. His victory over Valentino Rossi was the only satellite win in the MotoGP class until Jack Miller in 2016. He would never find the same success again, and he would spend the next 3 years as an occasional podium contender aboard Hondas and Ducatis. In 2010, with the arrival of the Moto2 class, he decided that the 800cc MotoGP bikes just weren't doing it for him, and as such, he moved to the newly formed class, riding for Gresini aboard a Moriwaki machine. The initial Moto2 season saw many riders trying to find consistency, with 9 different riders securing wins. Elias was the only one really able to find anything, securing 7 wins and a P2 finish on his way to a 70-point win over Julian Simon and Andrea Iannone. This would secure Elias a MotoGP ride again, this time with LCR Honda. 2011 was the worst MotoGP season of his career though, seeing him consistently in the bottom of the points. He would spend the next 2 years bouncing around MotoGP and Moto2, doing about equally well in both classes, but never finding real success. The latter half of 2013 and 2014 saw his first foray into superbikes, with a full ride in the World Superbike Championship in 2014 with Aprilia. He never found a podium, but was a consistent points finisher, and ended the season in 9th. 2015 saw his final Grand Prix entries, doing rides in MotoGP for Honda and Yamaha forward at 6 races that year, with his best result being 14th in Malaysia. After a few seasons of mediocre results on the world stage, Elias pivoted to Moto America Superbike. Elias was electric in Moto America Superbike. A double win in his debut, champion in 2017 with Suzuki, and a consistent championship contender for his entire career. Well, minus 2020, but it was 2020, who cares? He would fill in for some rides in 2021, and his final ride would occur in 2023, at which point he would retire from motorcycle racing. 2011's Moto2 champion was Stefan Bradl. Bradl had moved from the 125s to Moto2 during the inaugural season of the class, and was one of the 9 riders who secured a win that year. In 2011, he really found his footing with a Kalex machine. He found 4 wins and 11 podiums with only 2 retirements on his way to a title over Marc Marquez. He would move to MotoGP with LCR Honda for 2012. He would find some solid results in his rookie season, finishing between 4th and 9th in every round, with the exception of 4 retirements. His second season would be even more consistent, with only 2 retirements and finishes between 4th and 7th in every round, except for a 10th in France and a stunning 2nd place in Laguna Seca. Sadly, a broken ankle would take him out for 2 rounds near the end of the season, keeping him in 7th in the championship race. 2014 was slightly worse for him, not finding the highs of the last year and finding some more lows. 5 retirements and a 16th perhaps made it easier for LCR to let him go at the end of the year. In 2015, Bradl joined Athena Forward Racing. He would struggle quite a bit. Through 8 races, he had retired 4 times and only scored points twice. His stint with the team wouldn't survive past the summer break, however, as team boss Giovanni Cuzzari was arrested on corruption and fraud charges. But that's really a story for another time. Point being, Bradl and the team would part ways after Cuzzari's arrest, and he would find a new home with Gresini Aprilia. He would see marginally better results, still only finding the points twice, but keeping his machine on two wheels most of the time. 2016 would be his first and last full season with Aprilia. He would find better results than the year prior, finding points finishes in all but 4 rounds, but wasn't good enough to be kept on. Aprilia overhauled their rider lineup for the following year, and Bradl was left without a MotoGP ride. He would move to World Superbike for that year instead, riding for Red Bull Honda, and would be a consistent point scorer at 10 of the 13 rounds. In 2018, he would do test rides and replacement rides for Honda, and proved to be the second highest scoring replacement rider that year. He would be a mainstay in this role for another 6 seasons, doing test and replacement rides when needed, including replacing Marc Marquez during the 2020 season. After doing a final ride at the 2024 Solidarity Grand Prix, he quietly announced his retirement. Okay, so I'm pretty sure we all know how Marc Marquez's career went. An absolute failure. Nah, I'm kidding, you know what this is about. Already a 125cc world champion, Marc Marquez added a Moto2 world championship to his resume in 2012. He would beat Pol Espargaro to the title by securing podiums in all but 3 rounds aboard his Suter machine. He would become the last non-Kalex rider to win a Moto2 championship until 2024. For 2013, he would receive a ride with the Repsol Honda factory team in MotoGP. And well, the rest is history. He would become the first MotoGP rookie champion, beating out Jorge Lorenzo, Valentino Rossi, and Dani Pedrosa, and would go on to win 5 more world championships over the next 6 years. In 2020, his career took a turn. He suffered a high side that would cause extensive damage to his right arm, and he was forced to sit out the rest of the season, returning for the 3rd round of 2021. After a tough start, he would find 3 wins that year, but unfortunately, the Honda machine he returned to was not the competitive one he had left, and he would not find a win again over the next 2 years. Eventually, he would make the decision to leave Honda for a ride with Gresini Ducati in 2024. He would start the season off inconsistently, but would secure his first win in 1,043 days in Aragon, and would finish the season with 6 podiums in the last 9 races. For 2025, he was promoted to Ducati's factory team, and thus far has appeared to be back in top form. Across the first 4 rounds of the year, he has won all 4 sprints and 3 of the 4 Grand Prix. Frankly, I could probably do a 3-hour video just talking about Marc's career. Simply put, he is one of the best to ever do it. 91 wins, 158 podiums, 98 pole positions. There's not much more to say. One can only wonder how far he'll go. Pol Espargaro won the 2013 Moto2 world title. He was given a ride with Tech 3 Yamaha in MotoGP the following year and would have a very consistent season. His best finish was a 5th, but his worst was just 9th. And after finishing 6th in the points, he would be crowned Rookie of the Year, as well as being the highest ranked satellite rider that year. Most factories probably would have promoted him to a factory ride, but Yamaha's seats were occupied. So instead, he stayed with Tech 3 for another 2 seasons, finding very similar consistent results, but slipping down the championship standings a bit and never really improving. Worth noting that during these seasons, he also won the Suzuka 8 Hours Endurance race twice in a row with Yamaha's factory team. In 2017, he would get that factory ride, but it wasn't with Yamaha. Instead, he moved to KTM. The move wouldn't go as well as he had hoped, with his results taking a hit after moving to the Austrian factory. He would go from consistent top 10s to fighting just to be in the top 10 at all. However, he would secure his first podium in Valencia in 2018. 2019 was more of the same, but 2020 was the best season of his career, finally finding those consistent top 10 finishes again and securing 5 podiums on the season. At the end of the 2020 season, he left KTM for a ride with Repsol Honda. His Honda years were marred with inconsistency, but he would find his career best MotoGP result, 2nd place at the 2021 Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. In 2023, he would sign a 2-year deal with GasGas Tech 3, reuniting with both Tech 3 and KTM. Sadly, in practice for the opening round at Portimao, he would suffer a pulmonary contusion and injuries to his jaw, and he was sidelined for nearly half the season. He would return in Great Britain, but was unable to be competitive on the bike, only securing 15 points across the 12 rounds he competed in. It was announced that he would be stepping down to a test rider role from 2024 onwards, and in 2024, he did do test rides at 3 rounds, his best result being a 10th in San Marino. After a 3rd place championship finish in 2013, Tito Rabat would move to the Marc VDS Moto2 squad and would find great success, winning the world title with 7 wins and 14 podiums over his teammate Mika Kallio. In 2015, he would become the very first champion of the Moto2 era to choose to defend his title. That title defense wouldn't go very well. He was still a consistent podium finisher, but retirements in Qatar and Germany, combined with a training crash that forced him to withdraw from 2 rounds, meant that he would not be world champion. Rabat was still given a ride with the Marc VDS MotoGP team for 2016, but he struggled a lot in his rookie season, only finding points in about half of the races, and his best finish being a 9th in Argentina. He would improve slightly the following year, but not enough to stay with the team, and he would move to Realia Vintia Racing for 2018. In the British round, he would suffer a broken leg after he crashed due to water on the track, and was subsequently hit by Franco Morbidelli's bike. This would cause him to miss the rest of the 2018 season. He would find similar results over the next 2 years, sometimes a point scorer, but never consistently enough to do better than 20th in the championship. His team would elect to buy out his contract with 1 year remaining, leaving him without a full-time ride for 2021. He would instead be given a ride in World Superbikes with Barney Racing, riding a Ducati. He would end up performing very similarly to his MotoGP days, but would also suffer many retirements. He was let go mid-season, with the team citing his results as the primary reason. In 2022, he moved to the Spanish Superbike Championship with Honda, and he would utterly dominate, winning the championship with podiums in all but 2 races and 2 wins. He would also do rides in British Superbikes and World Superbike to minimal success. He would return to Grand Prix Racing in 2023. He rode in the Moto E World Championship with Pramac Moto E squad. He would find consistent points finishes, but 4 crashes and a black flag left him in 14th in the championship. He would do some more rides during that season in BSB and WSBK, and would find enough success to get another full-time World Superbike ride for 2024. He would only find points in 8 races and signed with Yamaha Moto X Racing for this year. Thus far, he seems to be struggling to find points yet again. After Rabat's injuries left him unable to finish out the Moto2 season, Johann Zarco became the 2015 Moto2 World Champion, and similar to Rabat, he would elect to stay in Moto2 and attempt to defend his title the following year. Despite a less dominant season, he still secured 7 wins and 10 podiums, and did what Rabat couldn't. Becoming the only 2-time Moto2 World Champion to date, he signed a 2-year deal with Tech 3 Yamaha in MotoGP, and he would win Rookie of the Year in 2017, finishing in the points in every round with the exception of a single retirement in Qatar. He also found 3 podiums on the season and would finish the year in 6th. He would have an eerily similar season in 2018. In 2019, he would move to the factory KTM squad, and in a similar story to Pol Espargaro, would go from consistent top 10s to barely finishing in the points. In a rare move, he and the factory would end up mutually agreeing to part ways midway through the season, and he would end up doing 3 rides with LCR Honda, finishing with 1 13th place and 2 retirements. In 2020, he would sign with his sponsor Sponsorama Racing to ride a Ducati. He was inconsistent on the machine, but found the highs he had been missing with KTM, securing a podium in the Czech Republic and 2 more top 5s. He moved to Pramac in 2021 and started his stint with the team strong with 2 second places. He would find 2 more that year and would end the season in 5th, his best championship result yet. He would stay with the team for 2 more years as an inconsistent podium threat, with the highlight of his career so far coming in a spectacular Phillip Island ride in 2023, which resulted in his only MotoGP win to date. In 2024, he would move to LCR Honda, believing that Ducati was trying to push him into World Superbike in a year or 2 and not exactly being ready to leave MotoGP. Despite being on a satellite bike, he has consistently been the best Honda rider since his debut with the team full-time. In 2024, he also competed in the Suzuka 8 Hours Endurance race for Honda, winning the race with Teppei Nagoi and Takumi Takahashi. 2017's Moto2 champion was Franco Morbidelli. Morbidelli didn't take the typical route to Moto2, instead competing in the European Superstock 600 Championship from 2011 to 2013, before signing full-time with Italtrans Racing in Moto2 for 2014. He would improve every year, going from a sometimes points finisher to a consistent top 10 finisher to a podium threat, and finally a race winner in 2017. Not only would he get his first Grand Prix win at the 2017 Qatar Grand Prix, he would win 4 of the first 5 rounds, and 4 more that season, eventually winning the championship with Marc VDS. And he would move to the Marc VDS MotoGP team for 2018. He would do pretty well as a rookie, being a consistent points finisher. He would sign a deal with the newly formed Petronas Yamaha team for 2019, and was a regular top 10 finisher, often challenging for the top 5, and finished 10th in the World Championship. However, 2020 would be his best year by far. Despite 3 retirements in the shortened season, he would find his 3 career MotoGP wins this year, and 2 more podiums to carry him to a championship second place. In 2021, he was looking inconsistent at the start of the year, but it ultimately wouldn't matter, as a training accident would take him out of 5 rounds mid-season. During his rehabilitation, Maverick Viñales was fired from the factory Yamaha squad, and Morbidelli was announced as his replacement. He would stay with the team for the next 2 years, returning to a consistent point-scoring results, but never again finding his form from 2020. In 2024, he was given a GP24 with Pramac Ducati. He would find consistent top 10s again after a tough start to the season. But despite getting the best results he had in years, he still underperformed compared to the other GP24 riders on the grid. He moved to VR46 for 2025, and thus far has returned to being a podium threat, finding 2 Grand Prix podiums, his first since 2021. The star pupil of the VR46 Racing Academy, Francesco Bagnaia, won the 2018 Moto2 World Championship. He would be given a contract with Pramac Ducati in MotoGP for 2019, and despite a crash-heavy season, would score points in most races he finished. 2020 once again saw many crashes, and an injury forced him to miss 3 rounds. But a second place at the San Marino Grand Prix was a new career highlight. He was given a factory Ducati ride for 2021 and would start the season very well, with 3 podiums in the first 4 races. He would fall off a little mid-year, where Fabio Quartararo would take a huge championship lead. Bagnaia would have an amazing run to end the season though. He would win 4 of the last 6 races, with a P3 and 1 more, but a crash in Emilia-Romagna would be the only thing between him and his first world title. In 2022, he would again get off to a rough start, not finding a podium until round 6 in Spain, which he would win. 3 retirements in the next 4 races after that wasn't great though, but he would again have a fantastic run to end the season, and this time, it was enough. He would overcome a nearly 100-point deficit to take his first MotoGP World Championship. The next year, Quartararo wouldn't be able to compete, but a new rival emerged. Pramac Yamaha's Jorge Martin was a superstar in the new sprint format and would push the championship fight to the very last round, but Pecco would beat him after he crashed out in Valencia. In 2024, Pecco had his best season yet, finding 11 Grand Prix wins and 7 sprint wins. But it still wasn't enough. Mistakes through the season allowed Martin to take his revenge and snatch the title by just 10 points. He continues with Ducati this year, now with a new challenger, Marc Marquez. He has already found a win this season and is again a consistent podium finisher. Who knows how this season will turn out for him, but thus far, he is the poster boy for modern Ducati, the most successful Grand Prix rider of the 2020s, and, by the numbers, the most successful Ducati Grand Prix racer ever. Safe to say, he's had a good career. Okay, I already talked about Alex Marquez in the Moto3 Champions video, but for those of you who haven't seen it, or if you want a refresher, I'll do a lightning round version. The younger brother of Marc Marquez won the 2014 Moto3 World title and would move into Moto2. He would be an inconsistent points finisher for a couple of years before turning into an inconsistent podium finisher for another 2. 2019 was his Moto2 championship season, and he became the very first Moto3 champion to also win a Moto2 championship. He would sign with Repsol Honda for a MotoGP ride in 2020, securing 2 podiums but moving to LCR Honda in 2021. He would not find podiums again until he moved to Gresini Ducati in 2023, where he would find consistent top 10s again, doing much the same in 2024. For this season, he has earned the nickname Mr. P2, as he has finished in second place in the vast majority of races this season, and he has seemingly emerged as a championship contender. Whether or not this will last remains to be seen. Enea Bastianini started his Grand Prix career in 2014 aboard a KTM in Moto3. He would stay in Moto3 for 4 more seasons before moving into Moto2 in 2019 with the Italtrans racing team. He would find a podium in his Moto2 rookie season, and semi-consistent top 10s would net him 10th in the championship. In 2020, he would find 3 wins and 7 podiums in the shortened season to net 205 points as well as the world title. He was given a ride in MotoGP in 2021 and would be a regular point scorer, finding 2 podiums near the end of the season. In 2022, he would move to Gresini Racing and would prove to be a worthy addition in the very first round, where he would win the Qatar Grand Prix, his very first MotoGP victory. He would be a consistent top 10 finisher and would end the season with 4 wins and 2 second places, coming 3rd in the title fight. His 2023 season was a shocking one to say the least. He would be called up to replace Jack Miller on the factory Ducati team. Unfortunately, his season was immediately brought to a halt in the opening round when an incident caused by Luca Marini left him out for a number of races. Upon his return, he would find top 10 finishes in 3 of the next 5 rounds, but would retire from the other 2, until another crash, this time in Catalonia, forced him to retire from from an additional 3 rounds of the season. His return would see more of the same top 10 finishes, but a dominant victory in Malaysia would prove that his talent hadn't gone anywhere. 2024 was a clean slate for Bastianini, and he got along with the GP24 much better than the GP23. He would prove a consistent podium threat, and would spend much of the year battling Marc Marquez for 3rd in the championship, eventually losing that battle by just 6 points. Sadly, Bastianini's 2024 season was defined less by his return to form and more by the news stories surrounding who would take the 2025 factory Ducati seat alongside Pecco Bagnaia. Ultimately, he would end up losing that seat to Marc Marquez, and this year is signed with Tech 3 KTM, finding inconsistent results through the first 4 rounds. Remy Gardner is the son of former MotoGP World Champion and Hall of Famer Wayne Gardner. He began his Grand Prix journey in 2014 after a couple of successful wildcard rides for KTM. He would only find the points a single time that season, securing a 10th place at his home race in Australia. For reasons that probably exist, he was given a Moto2 ride in 2016 with the AGP team, which ended up pulling out of the championship. Gardner eventually did find a ride and did better in Moto2 than Moto3, finding the points 3 times in his rookie season. And in 2021, now with Red Bull KTM IO, he was able to secure the championship with 5 wins and 12 podiums. He was promoted to the Tech 3 KTM MotoGP squad for 2022, and things did not go very well. He would only find the points 6 times and would finish the season ranked 23rd in the championship. KTM announced they were letting Gardner go. The actual reasons why he was let go are disputed between Gardner and the factory, but frankly, that argument doesn't really matter for this video. Point is, Gardner was out of a MotoGP ride, and in 2023, he would move to the production side of the motorcycle racing world. He would sign with GRT Yamaha and World Superbike, and he has been a regular top 10 finisher for them, including finding 2 podiums so far. He did return for some wildcard and replacement rides for Yamaha and MotoGP in 2024, but again, never found any points. (2022's Moto2 World title went to Augusto Fernandez. In 2022, the field was super deep, and while many riders secured wins and podiums, he was the one who found the most consistency, never finishing outside the top 10 and securing 4 wins and 9 podiums. He was promoted to Tech 3 KTM and MotoGP the following year, and had for all intents and purposes a above-average rookie season, consistently scoring points and even netting a top 4 finish. In 2024, he did seem to regress a bit, only finding the points in 7 races and logging 7 Grand Prix retirements. He was unable to find a ride for 2025, but would sign on with Yamaha as a test rider. So far in 2025, he has replaced an injured Miguel Oliveira at 2 rounds, with his best result being a 13th place. What's interesting if you look at Gardner and Fernandez's careers is it really shows just how high the talent level is in MotoGP these days. I mean, these guys were both Moto2 World Champions, and 2 years later they're just gone. It really is win or go home nowadays. Acosta is another rider who I already discussed in the Moto3 Champions video, so he's getting the speedrun treatment as well. Acosta has by far the shortest Grand Prix career of anyone we've discussed today, having been a Moto3 rookie in just 2021. He won the title in his rookie season, the only rider ever to do so in Moto3. He put in a very good effort in his Moto2 rookie season as well, but fell just shy of championship contention. In 2023, he had his revenge tour, and won the Moto2 title handedly with 7 wins and 14 podiums, becoming just the 2nd rider to win in Moto2 and Moto3. He was promoted to Gas Tech 3 in MotoGP in 2024 and would have a very impressive rookie season, securing himself a factory ride for 2025. So far in 2025, he seems to be disagreeing with the bike quite a bit, and rumors are now swirling about his potential departure from the Austrian factory at the end of this year. The current reigning Moto2 champion is Ogura. Despite a slow start and a massive lead from teammate Sergio Garcia in the points, he would secure 3 wins and 8 podiums, and never finished outside the top 4 for the last 8 rounds, which would net him the 2024 World Championship. He would choose to ride with Trackhouse Aprilia in 2025. This was an interesting move considering how heavily he was linked with the Idemitsu Honda team, but he would decline in favor of the more competitive bike. Thus far in 2025, he has been the standout rookie, and has outperformed expectations significantly, finishing in the top 5 in his debut race, the first MotoGP rider to do so since Marc Marquez, and frankly, probably should have been 1st or 2nd in America as well if not for some starting grid chaos. So, That's everyone. As with the Moto3 video, let's take a look at some overall statistics to see how these riders did on average. I'm excluding Ogura as he hasn't had a full year since his Moto2 world title, and I'm also excluding Toni Elias, as the purpose of this is to look at how Moto2 sets up riders for MotoGP, and Elias didn't really use Moto2 as a stepping stone, more of a capstone to his career. Looking at overall statistics from our 12 champions, we can see that all 12 of them made it to MotoGP. Again, pretty obvious. Of those 12, 8 of them won Rookie of the Year, 9 of them secured MotoGP podiums, just 5 have secured MotoGP wins, and just 2 have gone on to be MotoGP champions. The median number of podiums won is 8, and the median number of wins is 0. While these numbers are better than the Moto3 champions were, what's interesting is if you just look at the Moto3 riders who made it to MotoGP later in their careers, they outperformed these riders significantly, regardless of their performance in Moto2. So now that we've looked at both of the feeder classes, we can say that Moto2 does offer a closer experience to MotoGP in both performance and racing style. However, the true marker for what makes a great MotoGP rider isn't success in Moto3 and Moto2, but rather being successful through both feeder classes. Thank you so much for watching. A special shout out to my channel members. We've got MVP 2112, Venturian CRO, Moto Sapien, Shoan, and B. If you would like a shout out at the end of the video, as well as to support the channel in the best way possible, you can become a member too by hitting the join button down below. Always remember to fold your laundry and have a fantastic day.